So it's good to get week 17 behind us. I've cut my losses. We're getting back to the basics. We're going to be doing the wheel strategy that I was doing at the beginning of the year that was working. I'm only using a portion of my account for the options. I'm going to be doing T-Flow as a cash position. It's going to be half my account. I want to go over where I'm at right now, how I close the week, and I want to show you the stocks that I'm looking at in doing the wheel strategy. So it's great to see I've closed out my losing positions. The 30-20-10 strategy on the E-mini S&P 500 is no more. I don't have any open positions in futures contracts, and I actually don't have any options contracts open right now, but I have a list of stocks that I'm looking at for cash covered puts for the wheel strategy. We can see here I have 225 shares in T-Flow right now. It's eating up about $2,850 of my capital requirement. Tesla, I opened up 20 shares on Friday. It's gone down since then, but I'm a long-term shareholder here, and I'm only going to be gradually adding shares as I add deposits into my account. So Tesla is a long-term play for me. I'm going to be holding on to it. I don't want to miss the ride here. Tesla's going up. It's just a matter of time. And that's not the only stock I'm interested in. I'm going to be adding other stock positions throughout time for the long-term plays. And so I decided to go ahead and buy the shares of Tesla on Friday because we are still seeing strength overall on Tesla. Even though it is trending down, it's a great place to buy because we're seeing strength after it tapped this upward trending line here. So I think we're going to see a reversal here. And even if it doesn't reverse, I'm a long-term holder and it's not going to affect me at all. I'm going to keep adding shares as my account grows. And so to give you an idea of how T-Flow operates, you can see that the stock gradually goes up over time. It pays a dividend, and then the price drops back down when it pays out that dividend. And then it creeps back up, and then whenever it's time to pay the dividend, it goes down. It's very stable. Over time, the price has gone up slowly, and so it's a good place to keep your cash, and I believe it holds around a 5% return. And actually with margin, I'm able to double my position. So basically I've got my full portfolio amount in T-Flow. So I want to show you my options list for the wheel strategy. But before I do, let's take a look at how we did on week 17. We're ending the week with a net liquidation of $11,367, a premium of a negative $11,668. Total percent return on the week is a positive 5.5%. Year to date, we have lost $4,656. Premium collected year to date is negative $5,580, and a percent return on the year is negative 29%. My goal was to get that up to 50% return by the end of this year. I probably won't be hitting that at this point. My goal is to get that negative 29% back to zero. So if you're interested in joining me on that journey, hit the subscribe button. So we can see that my premium was negative. We saw negative $11,668 last week. What does that mean? Well, I took a bunch of losses, right? I had like 20 positions on the E-mini S&P 500. They were all losses. I took them all. So I had to pay premium. I had to pay more premium to close them than what I had received. And so every one of those were losses. The Tesla put spreads that I had to close for a loss, those were also losses. So those were realized last week when I closed the positions, and we can see that it has affected the total premium that I've collected on the year. So my goal is to get that back to positive, and I'm doing that through the wheel strategy. And slowly but surely, we're going to see that number get closer and closer to zero. And even in the green, it's just a matter of time. Let's take a look at the stocks that I have selected that I want to be watching for the wheel strategy. And it's going to be lower price stocks because I have around $4,000 right now to be selling puts. So I'm very limited on what I can choose, but overall, I think they're good stocks. So here's my list. We have Sofi, Mara, Palantir, AI, and AIRM. These are all stocks that I was selling puts on at the beginning of this year, even before the end of 2023. And the only new one that I have is Mara. That's Marathon Digital. They are a Bitcoin mining company, and they are the leaders of the mining industry, from what I understand, as far as Bitcoin goes. And so I think they're going to be the winners coming out of the Bitcoin mining. They're buying up the smaller competitors, and I think they're going to end up being a leader there. So definitely one that I'm going to be watching. They have earnings coming up in May. Many of these stocks have earnings coming up, but earnings are coming up here May 9th. So I'm really holding off on the wheel strategy for these stocks right now, but I'm going to be watching them. We can see the earnings here. Sofi has earnings coming out on Monday. That's before the market opens. So that's going to be one that I'm watching and selling puts on. I just don't want to open any positions up before earnings because the price does go crazy, right? If it goes up, that's great if I'm selling a put, but they could go down, and you just taking a look at Meta, for example. So we see here, Meta had earnings coming out. It gapped down big time here. So I don't want to be caught up in this kind of mess by choice, right? I'm not going to decide to go into earnings, selling a put and then get hit like this. So it can happen with earnings. That's something that I want to avoid. If I have to roll into earnings, if I'm stuck in a position, I have to roll into earnings, that's fine, because if I get assigned, I'll just start filling calls against it, lower my break-even point closer to the current price, and eventually get out for profit. So I'm not worried about getting in earnings if I'm already in a position. But to open a position before earnings, that's pretty risky, not something that I want to get involved in. I'm just going to wait until the earnings season gets out for these stocks. They're all really close together, and I have no problem sitting in cash until the opportunity comes. So we can see here with SoFi, strength coming in before earnings. There's not going to be another chance to get into SoFi before earnings comes out. And we can see here we have a base forming, and I think we're going to see a positive turn on SoFi. We have a nice base here, and I think that Monday morning we're going to see a push up into the $9-10 range. So it's looking pretty good here. We are sitting below the 200-day moving average, and we just broke the 50-day moving average. It is on a downward trend here, but I think we're going to see a good earnings report here for SoFi. And so depending on how the chart looks, I may open the position after earnings, but I'm probably going to wait another week on SoFi just because I want to be seeing a pattern to get in. Is this going to jump up really high and then start dropping back down? I don't want to get caught up in the earnings, so I might give a little bit of space before I open a position there. But SoFi is an easy one. It's a low price. It has decent credit whenever you're selling put options. So that's something I'll be watching definitely. SoFi is an easy one for me to get into. And I think there's a lot of promise here for the price to go up in the near future. So Mara has been on a downward trend here, I would say all the way up until the end of February. It's just been going down really, but this could be a bottom, right? We're starting to see the moving averages start to come up. The 50-day, we see a base showing up here, getting closer to the 50-day moving average. We have earnings coming out, like I said, May 9th here. So in just maybe a couple weeks here, it's going to be having earnings. So we'll see what happens out of Mara. I'm going to be waiting until earnings releases. I don't want to get caught up in the earnings, but I think we'll have a good result there in earnings. Like I said, I think they're a leader in Bitcoin mining, so I think they're going to be ones that come out on top. Of course, Palantir is an easy choice for me when it comes to selling puts. I've done it. I've been selling puts on Palantir ever since I started selling put options here. So very easy choice. We have earnings coming out for them May 6th. Just waiting until those earnings come out. I'm really debating on whether or not just to get into Palantir, just because I know in earnings, it does a really good job, usually performs really well. Their last earnings, it gapped up really high right here, and then it kind of sold off. So again, we're seeing strength coming in. It's pushing toward the 50-day moving average. I think we're going to have a good earnings report. So I'm really am debating on Palantir whether or not to just sell the put options before earnings, but I think I'm just going to wait, like I said, and just take the safe route here, wait till earnings are passed, and then start opening positions on these. So AIRM, I'm a little bit iffy on. They performed really well at the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024. A lot of people are using companies like AIRM, the buy now, pay later style kind of debt. And I think eventually AIRM is going to be affected by consumers not being able to pay back their debts. So long-term play, I'm not really confident in AIRM. It's just one that I have on here. It is a higher price for me. I've got about $4,000 to sell put options, so it's not really one that I'm going to be planning on opening any positions anytime soon. I have made some good money on it at the beginning of the year. And so I'm just watching it just to see what happens here. But you can see it's still trending down. There's not really a good entry point for me. I want to typically see something above the 50-day moving average. I want to see things trending up because I am selling puts. And if I get a sign, that's fine, but I don't want to, I want to find a good entry point to open a position. We can see here with AI, their last earnings report. Of course, they've got earnings late. It's at the end of May. But I'm not really seeing a good entry point here. We have been going down ever since they released earnings last. And so they gapped up really good, been selling off ever since. But I think we're starting to see a turnaround here. Earnings, like I said, are coming out here in a month. And I could open up a position on AI right now, but I'm just going to wait and see what happens here. It's not my first choice, but we just have to wait and see, right? I could open a position on this before earnings. And I really want to see what the stock's going to do. Are we going to see a push back up closer to the 50-day, or is this just going to continue selling off? I think we hit a barrier here. We can see good support right here. So it wouldn't be a bad position here to open up a spot around $20 or $20.50. So you can see right here, I could do a 13 days to expiration, sell a put here at $20.50. So that'd take about, around $2,000 of my capital and collect $19. That might be an option. I may open up a position on AI, depending on how the stock looks. I'll give it maybe a few days and reevaluate, but AI could be one that I end up selling a put on next week. So we'll just see about that since we do have time until earnings comes out. So I'll be keeping my eye on AI. So it's great to have week 17 behind us. We have a new beginning here starting at week 18. I've got half my account in T-Flow. We're doing a little bit of options. I'm watching and waiting for a good time to open up these positions for the wheel strategy. I've got a position on in Tesla, doing some long-term stock plays, and I at some point want to start making deposits into my account so that I can be able to start buying more stocks and trading more options here. So I'm a new options trader. My goal is to make my money back after my losses, after losing half my account. It's probably going to take me all year to get back to where I was at the beginning of this year. But if you want to follow me on this learning journey, hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button, and we will see you on the next video.